Raven K. Jackson built a brand on strength, discipline, and positivity. At just 24, she had turned her passion into a full-fledged fitness empire. Her company, Go Crazy Fitness, attracted hundreds of thousands of followers. Online, she shared intense workouts, motivational speeches, and sharp, confident posts. To the public, she was a rising star with a perfect life. Then, one afternoon in September 2022, everything stopped. No warning, no explanation, no signs, at least not the kind most people would notice. Hours after posting her usual uplifting content, Raven disappeared from the spotlight. What followed left her followers shocked, her loved ones grieving, and the public asking questions that still don't have clear answers. Her boyfriend, a well-known rapper, would later come forward with a series of cryptic messages allegedly sent to him in her final moments. The contents of those messages raised more questions than answers about what really happened that day, what no one saw behind the camera, and what signs may have been missed. There was no headline-making scandal, no criminal charges, no obvious villain. Yet the story doesn't sit neatly. It lingers. It unsettles. Because something doesn't add up. This is not just a case of a public figure vanishing from view. This is a story about what we see and what we don't. It's about perception, silence, and the fine line between curated reality and hidden truth. What led to Raven K. Jackson's final moments? And why did no one see it coming? The answers are buried in fragments. Text messages, interviews, timelines, and choices made in silence. This is the story of a disappearance that wasn't sudden, just invisible. If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover the truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Uncovered, where we examine the cases that shake communities and expose what happens behind closed doors. Real stories, real people, real impact. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. On September 6, 2022, Raven K. Jackson posted motivational content on social media, similar to what she had done for years. Hours later, she was gone. The sudden disappearance and death of a rising fitness entrepreneur shocked her followers and raised immediate questions. This case explores the facts behind her background, career, personal relationships, and final known communications. It examines whether any signs were missed, what was known, and what remains unclear. Raven K. Jackson was born in Mississippi. She grew up in the South and often referenced her upbringing in interviews, although detailed public records about her early family life are limited. Her environment appeared modest, with no significant media documented criminal or domestic instability. However, she later disclosed in interviews that she had faced trauma in childhood, including possible emotional and psychological challenges. Her education history included high school in Mississippi and time spent in Atlanta, Georgia, where she eventually launched her career. No criminal record or legal issues from her youth have been made public. Raven transitioned into fitness after struggling with her own mental health and physical wellness. She launched Go Crazy Fitness, a brand that combined physical training with motivational messaging. The platform offered workout plans, diet advice, and lifestyle coaching, targeted at women seeking transformation. Her brand grew rapidly. Within 2 years, she had amassed over 230,000 followers on Instagram and built partnerships with wellness influencers and athletes. She was not just a trainer. She positioned herself as a mentor, using personal development language to appeal to a broad base. Her branding focused on self-discipline, inner strength, and rising above setbacks. The difference between Raven and other fitness influencers was her emphasis on mental resilience. She combined fitness challenges with self-talk exercises and posted motivational videos that often drew thousands of shares. Raven's social media content was consistent. Daily motivational posts, transformation stories, and intense workout routines. She frequently appeared alone in her videos, often addressing the camera directly with messages like, "You're stronger than you think," and "Get up even when it hurts." She also spoke about overcoming obstacles without revealing specifics. Topics such as trauma recovery, staying committed under pressure, and silent struggles were recurring themes. Though she avoided detailing her personal hardships, her messages hinted at lived experience. She aligned herself with mental health advocacy, occasionally posting links to therapy resources, and using hashtags such as hashtag mental health awareness and hashtag healing in progress. Was this persona built on a private struggle, or was it carefully curated to match market trends? Did she feel pressured to maintain a facade of strength? Was there a consistent discrepancy between her public presence and her personal reality? Raven was in a public relationship with rapper 600 Breezy, a Chicago-based artist affiliated with the drill music scene. The exact start date of their relationship is unclear, but posts suggest they were together for at least a year prior to her death. Online, they shared photos, exchanged supportive captions, and referred to each other in interviews. One post from Raven described him as her piece, while he called her his queen in multiple uploads. They appeared together at events and were often featured in each other's Instagram stories. Their public interactions showed no sign of controversy or instability. However, there were also long stretches without mention of one another, suggesting possible off-screen fluctuations. Following her death, 600 Breezy released screenshots of what he claimed were Raven's final messages to him. These messages included phrases such as, "I'm tired. I've been tired for a long time, and nothing feels real, not my love, not my business, not myself." The text suggested an internal breakdown and a loss of emotional connection to every part of her life, including their relationship. The messages were shared publicly within 24 hours of her death. No confirmation has been provided by law enforcement about their authenticity or origin. There is also no verification of the timeline in which they were sent. No additional texts, emails, or voicemails have been made public. Prior to her death, there were no documented public reports of relationship strain. However, Raven had privately discussed mental health challenges on her platforms. It is unclear if her partner was fully aware of the extent of her internal distress. How much did her boyfriend know about her psychological state at the time? Were there any red flags in private conversations that indicated a worsening mental condition? Did anyone in her personal circle attempt to intervene or seek professional help on her behalf? The remainder of this case would explore her final 24 hours, including digital footprints, posts, and a timeline of her disappearance. An analysis of her final messages, their context, and unanswered questions about how and when they were released. Mental health records and prior interviews to trace patterns of distress or coping breakdown. Law enforcement involvement, autopsy results, and any documented investigation. Online speculation and conspiracy theories, including Reddit forums and user theories about her phone access, the timing of the text, and a lack of clear police reporting. Aftermath, including how the brand was handled posthumously, the public's response, and the long-term questions raised by her case. Raven K. Jackson's relationship with 600 Breezy was a central part of her public identity in the months leading up to her death. Publicly, there were no visible signs of trouble. Privately, the final messages suggest an ongoing internal crisis. The next logical step is to analyze the events of her final day, verify the timeline of her disappearance, and review whether any institutional response occurred. Understanding those details will provide clearer insight into what could have been done and whether the outcome could have been different. In the 48 hours leading to her death, Raven K. Jackson maintained her usual digital activity. Her final Instagram post followed her established pattern of motivational content, centered around wellness, encouragement, and personal strength. The tone remained consistent with her brand image, uplifting and determined. The exact timestamp of her last Instagram story is recorded on September 6, 2022, within the afternoon hours. No irregularities were flagged by viewers at the time. There is no confirmed public record detailing who spoke with her last, either in person or via phone. Neither law enforcement nor her inner circle have released verified statements identifying the last known contact. However, based on later disclosures, her boyfriend, rapper 600 Breezy, claimed he received direct messages from her hours before the event. Her physical location was Mississippi, though the specific address or environment such as whether she was in a residence, hotel, or other setting, has not been officially released by authorities. No third-party witness accounts or surveillance confirmations were made public regarding her whereabouts. There is no public documentation of a missing persons report being filed. According to the available timeline, there was a relatively short time between her last known communication and the discovery of her death. Reports suggest that Raven was found within hours of sending the messages to 600 Breezy. The person who discovered her remains unnamed. The environment in which she was found has not been formally disclosed, including the condition of the scene, any note present, or physical evidence. No immediate indication exists that a full police investigation or emergency response protocol was initiated upon the first signs of her absence. This absence of formal reporting suggests either that the situation escalated quickly or that the individuals involved did not anticipate a disappearance scenario. News of Raven's death became public on September 6, 2022. Her boyfriend, 600 Breezy, was the first to publicly announce the death via social media. Posting tributes alongside screenshots of alleged final messages he claimed were sent by Raven shortly before her death. The text messages contained emotionally intense language indicating finality and a desire to disconnect from life. These screenshots quickly circulated online, prompting widespread speculation. The timing of the release raised questions, as they were posted almost immediately after the public learned of her death. Why were deeply personal messages shared publicly so quickly after her death? Who had access to Raven's phone and private communications at the time? Were law enforcement agencies notified before the messages were posted? The messages reportedly sent to 600 Breezy included phrases such as, "Nothing feels real to me. Not my love, not my business, not myself. I've been tired for a long time. I'm just not meant for this world." These statements contain keywords and sentence structures typically associated with detachment from reality, emotional disconnection, and suicidal ideation. The repetition of themes like exhaustion and unreality suggest a long-term internal struggle rather than a spontaneous emotional episode. The tone of the messages is coherent and direct, with no grammatical or structural issues indicating altered states or coercion. However, the source of the messages has not been independently verified by law enforcement or forensic experts. The timing of the messages aligns with the window in which Raven reportedly died. However, without publicly released device logs, message metadata, or forensic timestamps, it is not possible to confirm the authenticity or exact timing of the messages relative to her time of death. There has been no official verification from authorities regarding whether they reviewed the messages, examined phone records, or confirmed the sender's identity through device analysis. It is also unknown who controlled Raven's device after her death, including whether the phone was locked, accessed, or altered in any way. No official statement has addressed how or when the screenshots were taken. The release of the messages drew immediate attention. Public reactions were divided. Many offered sympathy, while others questioned the decision to share private communications so quickly. A number of users on Reddit and Twitter suggested alternative theories, including the possibility of manipulation or fabrication of the messages. Some posts speculated about the authenticity of the screenshots, citing formatting inconsistencies. Others raised questions about the motives behind sharing them at all, especially before full investigation or family statement. Could the messages have been scheduled or sent under pressure? Why did 600 Breezy decide to publish the text immediately? Did public release of the messages interfere with any ongoing or potential investigations? Throughout her public career, Raven K. Jackson spoke openly in podcasts and interviews about mental health. She mentioned struggles with childhood trauma and PTSD. In one interview, she referred to herself as someone who always had to be strong for everyone else. She also discussed therapy and healing, often encouraging followers to prioritize self-care and mental wellness. Her content was consistent with that of someone aware of mental health risks. However, the depth of her personal struggle may have been under-acknowledged by her audience due to the motivational tone of her posts. No official statements from friends or family indicate they noticed unusual behavior prior to her death. There are no confirmed reports of canceled events, withdrawals from obligations, or erratic public behavior. If behavioral shifts occurred, such as social withdrawal or significant changes in communication patterns. They were not widely reported. No evidence of an intervention attempt, either personal or clinical, has been shared publicly. Were early signs of mental deterioration visible but ignored? Did she confide in anyone who failed to act? Were any protective mechanisms or interventions considered in the days leading to her death? The official cause of death was ruled suicide. The method has not been publicly disclosed. There are no records of physical note, digital message, or voice recording left behind. If additional materials were recovered at the scene, they have not been released to the public. There is no indication of an open or extended police case. Authorities did not suggest foul play. No formal statements were issued regarding a toxicology report or additional forensic testing. It remains unknown whether the coroner's office performed a detailed autopsy beyond confirming the cause of death. There is no record of further police interest in the case or review of digital evidence, such as phone activity, cloud storage, or communications with other parties. There have been no known defamation claims or legal responses to online speculation. 600 Breezy has not faced legal inquiry regarding the events or the sharing of private messages. No formal cooperation with authorities has been documented or confirmed. There's been no mention of surveillance footage from the scene, surrounding areas, or any witnesses from nearby locations. No additional evidence was presented to clarify the events beyond what was voluntarily disclosed on social media. Was the case concluded prematurely? Were phone records, surveillance, or toxicology results thoroughly examined? Is there undiscovered or unreviewed digital evidence that could change the timeline? Despite the public narrative surrounding Raven K. Jackson's death, online discourse has revealed substantial skepticism. Viewers, fans, and anonymous internet users have questioned the timeline, the authenticity of the final messages, and the limited official response. Almost immediately after Raven's death was announced, Reddit threads began analyzing the public details. One of the first points of contention was the speed at which her boyfriend, rapper 600 Breezy, posted a series of intimate final messages allegedly sent by Raven. Viewers questioned how quickly he obtained and shared those messages. If she had just passed, when and how were screenshots taken? Was the phone in his possession? Did he know she was gone before anyone else? Some Reddit users speculated that the messages could have been fabricated or altered. Several questioned the format of the screenshots, whether they matched native iPhone layouts, if timestamps were consistent, or if there were signs of message editing. These questions were amplified by the fact that no forensic or police confirmation was released regarding the authenticity of the text. The lack of technical verification left room for speculation. Conspiracy theories also emerged. Some users suggested foul play, citing the absence of verified third-party statements or forensic detail. Others pointed to inconsistencies in Breezy's online behavior, including previous controversies, as reasons for distrust. While no evidence supports these claims, their persistence reflects a broader discomfort with how quickly the narrative was established and finalized publicly. Key logistical and investigative details remain undisclosed. For instance, Raven's exact location at the time of death has not been widely reported. Was she found at her residence, a hotel, or another location? What were the conditions at the scene? These facts typically appear in official reports, but have not been publicly confirmed in this case. There is also no detailed information on whether her personal devices were forensically examined. With the growing prevalence of two-factor authentication, the question arises, how was access gained to her phone? Who had the authority or password to retrieve the messages that were shared? If someone else accessed her device, was that process documented by law enforcement or conducted privately? No formal police investigation findings have been made publicly available. There was no press release from local authorities regarding the manner of death beyond suicide. In high-profile cases, updates typically follow initial reports, especially when public interest is high. The silence in this case has contributed to continuing speculation. Was the case investigated thoroughly, or was it closed too quickly due to surface-level evidence? Outside of the case specifics, Raven's story raises broader questions about the role of social media in masking distress. As a fitness influencer, she was part of a culture built on discipline, positivity, and resilience. But these traits can also serve as a cover for internal pressure, especially in industries that reward outward strength. Her case fits a pattern. Public figures who project stability while concealing isolation or burnout. This raises a question of whether high-functioning individuals, particularly those in motivational roles, are more vulnerable to hiding warning signs. When a person's income, reputation, and influence depend on appearing unshakable, disclosure becomes risky. Additionally, Raven's identity as a young black woman complicates the discussion. Conversations around mental health in black communities often encounter cultural silence, distrust of mental health systems, and expectations of emotional endurance. These issues are seldom addressed directly in mainstream media coverage. In the hours following the announcement, tributes poured in across social media platforms. Fans, fellow influencers, and public figures posted condolences, memories, and reposted her past motivational videos. Her brand's official pages went temporarily silent, later returning with a brief acknowledgement of her passing. 600 Breezy's posts received mixed reactions. While some offered sympathy, others criticized him for making private messages public, arguing it crossed a line of respect. As of now, no formal statement has been issued by Raven's family or business team beyond initial acknowledgments. The status of Go Crazy Fitness remains unclear. The company's accounts have gone inactive since her death, with no major product launches, event updates, or staff communication. If Raven was the sole creative and operational lead, her absence may have halted ongoing operations entirely. In the broader fitness and wellness community, her story has triggered discussions about authenticity and mental health. A handful of influencers began posting more candidly about burnout, exhaustion, and the dangers of hiding pain behind productivity. Some mental health awareness posts circulated using Raven's name, though none appear to be officially